saw this story a couple of days ago. A Jewish protester who was waving an Israeli flag was killed in Los Angeles. According to the coroner, it was a homicide. He was allegedly attacked by a Muslim professor who supports Hamas. A homicide. Was it murder? Well, that's what the word homicide seems to mean. Also in Los Angeles, Gal Gadot, the Israeli actress behind the Wonder Woman franchise, she was in Los Angeles at the Museum of Tolerance screening a video series by the Israeli government showing people in Hollywood the absolutely atrocious and barbaric attacks on October 7th. Some of the footage is so shocking, it has not been released in public. It's been shown in different embassies around the world, and Gal Gadot was showing it to her friends from Hollywood at this Museum of Tolerance. Well, word got out that she was in town, an Israeli who supported Israel, and so pro-Hamas supporters showed up at a place called the Museum of Tolerance, and they had a little anti-Semitic riot right there. Take a look at this footage by a news helicopter overhead. That's Los Angeles, which has a large Jewish population, by the way. Not as large as New York's. They've had their share of mini riots as well, held back in this case by police. But the Jews there were assaulted physically. I don't need to reach into the United States to show you what's going on. In the past few days across Canada, things have moved up a notch. Here are students at Concordia University in Montreal chanting, "Throw the kikes out," kike being the equivalent of the N-word to describe Jews. Here, take a look.
You know what?
Just stop for a second and imagine someone saying that to a black person or someone using similar language about any other group. Well, here's the University of Montreal where a professor was shouting at Jews, Professor Yanis Arab was shouting to Jews to go back to Poland, sharmuta, which is an Arabic phrase for whore. Shouting that at a Jewish student. Take a look at this. That's a professor. Imagine if you were a Jewish student or any student who just didn't like that extreme language pumped out by a professor. And by the way, those Jewish kids were in a student club area. They were having those little pictures of the kidnapped Jewish babies. And that's what motivated this vomiting of racist hatred that in any other situation would have immediately resulted in the suspension, the termination, the firing of the perpetrators. But here, oh, well, they're just very passionate. That's schools. Schools are bad because you have the woke Canadian industry met with migrants from places where anti-Semitism is endemic. But what about if you just want to take the subway in Toronto? Well, Union Station is the largest subway station in Toronto. It's right across from the Royal York Hotel, right downtown. They call it Union Station because it's where the lines cross and the train starts. And Palestinian activists took over the place. They blocked the place. Take a look at this.
And military support as they cover up and justify their crimes.
Can I speak a friend of this area right here, please, just because it's a real thing?
Imagine being a Jew, not just a Jew, but perhaps an identifiable Jew wearing your yarmulke or a Star of David around your neck, trying to walk through that. Would you feel safe Well, I don't know if you'd be allowed to walk through at all. And that's in public property, shutting down a subway stop. But today also, Palestinian protesters occupied private buildings. They were in a bank, not just the main branch of the bank, an office tower yesterday, but they actually started invading bank branches, and police just stood and looked on. Take a look at this. Imagine if a group of masked people stormed into a bank and shut it down. You don't have to imagine. You remember how the police acted when anti-vaccine mandate or anti-lockdown activists walked in public places. They were arrested and jailed. This is in private banks and offices and shutting down subway lines, and the police just stand back. For years, the Iranian government would organize an annual anti-Semitic rally in Toronto called Al-Quds Day. It was a made-up day by the government of Iran. It was basically an anti-Semitic hate fest in Toronto. It was clearly organized and orchestrated by the Iranian government. It was part of their foreign policy to stir up anti-Semitic hatred around the world. Those same forces are now recreating their hate rallies, but they're doing it in private buildings, in public buildings, in subway lines, in the offices of members of parliament, and not a wink of pushback by the Canadian government. If you think that's bad, take a look at this speech by a hate preacher on top of a building, preaching to more than 10,000 haters down below. Take a listen and listen to that word, amen, amen, amin. Take a listen.
اللهم عليك بالصهاينة المعتدين
آمين
اللهم عليك بأعداء أهل غزة
آمين
اللهم احصهم عددا
آمين
اقتلهم بددا
آمين
لا تذر منهم أحدا
آمين
اللهم إنهم لا يعجزونك
آمين.
That's Adil Sharkawi, an extremist pro-terrorist activist who has in the past been jailed. He's back on the streets preaching hate. Police won't touch him. I mean, if he's unvaxxed, then maybe. If he refused to wear a mask during the lockdowns, maybe. But just calling for the death of Jews, no problem. Have at her.